So I appreciate when people first get into real estate, they're ambitious and they'll chase down any opportunity. And I get why they're like that, but the sooner you can convert from a generalist to a specialist, the sooner your value goes up. As I said to you earlier, who makes more money, a surgeon or a family practitioner? The surgeon does because they specialize. And can you have more than one specialty? The answer is yes, but I don't think you can be a specialist at everything. Some people would have you think that they could specialize in everything, and you can't. You can't be a foot doctor, an eye doctor, a heart surgeon, and a brain surgeon. I mean, you need to pick a specialty. Now, that doesn't mean that you haven't got a general idea how some of the other stuff is done, but the reality of it is, if I need heart surgery, I don't want to see my foot doctor. I want to see my surgeon. So my suggestion to you is become really good at something. And the sooner you do that, the sooner you're going to make more money. People are going to come in search of you. The price of your marketing goes down and your profitability goes up. Now, often I find that people love the idea of marketing. Conceptually, if we send out a bunch of stuff, we think that something's going to happen. But the problem is, if you send out a bunch of stuff and that message really isn't designed to speak to anyone specific, you're trying to catch everybody, you literally catch nobody. So my suggestion is to make the message appeal to the group of people you're talking to, so that when I see it, if I want to buy investment real estate, I know that you're the person I need to talk to. If I want to buy my first house, I know you're the person I need to talk to because I get a sense that you're a specialist in that. There's all kinds of different things you can specialize in. Now, I would go on to say when you first get started, my suggestion is you should be a general practitioner because you don't know what you want to specialize in until you've tried it. So you could have first-time home buyers, which is a unique piece of the market all unto itself. It could be move-up, people with a bunch of kids, and they were looking for a good school district, and they're looking for a family room and a fenced yard for the dogs so the dogs can play. And people with kids want to be around people with kids, and they like to buy houses from people who have kids because they all understand kids. Maybe it's baby boomers, maybe you're in your 50s and your group of friend network that you socialize with is in their 50s. They're empty nesting. In fact, the kids have gone off to college and they know they need to sell the house before the kids move back in and stay permanently, right? So, my friends are all trying to sell their houses before their kids come home. And what do? They put a futon in the spare room, comfortable enough for one night, but not comfortable enough to move in permanently, that sort of thing. But I say that because each one of those markets is a specialty item. Now, I never had children. Have I sold homes to people who have kids? I have. But can I tell you it was a bit of a challenge? You bet it was. First-time home buyers, that was me. And today, if I was selling houses, I'd be doing the empty nesters and the baby boomers. Running around in a minivan with last week's Cheerios and last week's Oreo cookies crushed into the seat with a bunch of sticky kids just wouldn't work for me. Now, can I do it? Yeah. Do you think the parents pick up on my energy? I'd say probably. And when we try to talk about things between showings, we don't really have anything in common. It's so much easier when you can relate to the people you're working with. I remember back to when I had my real estate office, and there was a lady who worked in my office by the name of Carolyn. She had a couple of little kids. And I can remember there were times when Carolyn was out showing houses and she couldn't get a babysitter, and her clients couldn't get a babysitter. So they all get into Carolyn's minivan. She had two and they had three, and it looked like a preschool going out to look at houses because she'd have like a little string and they'd all be holding on to it and the parents would be taking them out. I would look at that and I would be like, oh my gosh, I just couldn't even get in that same minivan. I'd be vibrating, right? It wouldn't work for me. But for Carolyn, she was like tickling them and playing with them, one on her shoulder and chasing them around while the parents are looking at the house. And she just seemed to be in her zone. And you got to know when you're in your zone with your clients and the clients know that you are where you're supposed to be, then everything works. But it's when you're stretching beyond where you are and you're not comfortable there. I'll give you another example. I was teaching a class in Fort Lauderdale. One of the ladies in my class came up to me and she said, I'm thinking about selling expensive homes. And I said, oh, okay. Now, Fort Lauderdale's got lots of expensive homes. So I said, well, that sounds good, but can I ask why? She says, well, I wouldn't have to sell very many houses and I'd make a lot of money. And I'm saying, okay, I see the math on that. I get it. I see where you're going. I said, do you live in an expensive house? She said, no. I said, do you know anybody who lives in an expensive house? She said, no. I said, do you think the people who live in expensive houses are going to know you don't live in an expensive house? She said, do you think it matters? And I said, well, I'm not saying it's an impossibility. I'm just saying you're making the hill higher than it needs to be. And she says, well, what do you mean? I said, I think you can do anything you want in real estate. That's one of the beautiful things about real estate is you can do anything. I'm all down for that. But if you were asking me what's an easier way to a commission check, see, birds of a feather flock together. Rich people hang out with rich people. Rich people's kids go to school where rich people's kids go to school. And if your kids don't go to that school, then you don't get to the PTA. You don't get to the parent meetings and the evening parties and the wine and cheese things that, rich people do. So if you're not from that, you're not from their country club, you don't shop in their stores, their kids don't go to those schools, you don't drive the same cars, trust me when I say it, they know you don't come from their background. So I'm not saying you can't get there, and I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying if you want a sale this week, you're probably more likely to be comfortable at a kitchen table with somebody that you share the same life experience, the same values. They get that you get them, and that's important to them. So my suggestion is start out as a generalist, try out a whole bunch of different things till you figure out what it is you like, and then start to zero in on the stuff you like. And then I can tell you another little secret that they don't tell you. When you enjoy what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. Next one I have for you is that if you're new, it's okay to make mistakes. Listen, you don't really make mistakes. Mistakes make you. The price of wisdom is experience, and the price of experience is a lot of bad decisions. See, that's how we become wise in life. You don't get to be wise without living it, okay? So we're all going to make mistakes. I'll tell you the biggest mistake you can make is not getting in there and doing it. Get in there, roll up your shirt sleeves. I know you're not going to do anything with the intent of hurting anybody. I know that. And I know that we're going to make mistakes from time to time. Nobody's perfect, okay? Nobody's perfect. But if you put your heart, your head, and your back into it, and you give people more than their money's worth, you try really hard to look after them, and you're thoughtful about everything you do, you're going to be okay. Listen, I'm going to tell you something else. And, people say to me all the time, they say, you know what, I lost a listing. I said, no, you didn't. You never had it in the first place. What, did you have it signed? You were driving home, it blew out the window, and, the paperwork was gone? You didn't lose it. I said, you never had it. You can't lose something you didn't have. But I'll tell you what you got. You got an education. You got an experience. Because you know what you do when you don't get a listing that you thought you were going to do? You go back to the office and you pout. Yes, I know that. You pout for a little bit. And then you think, what did I do wrong? And then it starts. And you refine it. And you polish it. And you make it better. And you know what happens after a while? Same questions, same issues, different address, different name. You know what? It's not your first day at the rodeo. How do you get experience? You got to get in there and do it. So full speed ahead, guys. Godspeed. Let's get after it. Next on my list is, who is your ideal client? Before you do any marketing, you got to know who you're going to market to. Are you going to do the empty nesters? You're going to do the baby boomers? They got their own issue going on. They want to get rid of that big house out in the country. They don't want to look after the pool anymore. They don't want to pay for the landscaper. They don't want to do the snow removal. They don't want all the maintenance. They want a cool downtown condo. They want to travel a little bit more than they've done now. They want to spend some time doing quality things. They want to go to the theater, go out for dinner. They want to be out in downtown and enjoying the experience. I get it. Now, who's going to buy their house? Well, the upsizers are going to buy it. Those are the ones with the minivans and all the kids and all of that. And they need a pool and a place in the backyard, and they need a great school district. See, the seniors don't need that anymore. Or you got your first-time home buyers. I don't know who your peeps are. I don't know who you're going to make your connection with, but you need to do a little reflection. Who are you? Who do you enjoy spending time with? Because those are going to be the easiest people to sell to. When I was selling, I love my clients. I thoroughly enjoyed finding people houses, helping them find that house, helping them get their house sold. I turned my clients into friends. Every time I went somewhere, it felt like I was out socializing. I really enjoyed the experience, and I enjoyed helping people with that, turn the page in the next chapter of their life. I saw it as such a tremendous responsibility. I hope you see it the same way. Once you figure out who your group are, seniors, baby boomers, move-ups, first-timers, investors, then what do? Then you got to make sure the message you put out into the community they're going to hear it. See, only people who are listening for that message are going to hear it. You got to know what is it they're looking for. You need to send the right message, and then they hear it. That's how it works. You got to know who your people are. And when you meet them, you should have things in common with them. We should dress like they dress. We should speak like they speak. We should drive a car that's similar so that we don't make people feel insecure, intimidated, or that they don't think we're as good as we need to be for the opportunity that they're offering us. So look the pro. Look conservative, professional, organized, prepared. All of these come together. In my mind, I'm first meeting you now to give me that sense that I can trust you with one of the biggest decisions in my life. This will help you reduce your costs and increase your revenue. When you become a specialist, like I said, people will come in search of you. So your marketing costs go down in a sense because the message you're putting out is being heard by the people who need to hear it. So you don't have to put out as big a message. You don't have to send it to as many people. You just got to send it to the right people, the right message. Costs go down, Sales goes up, and so does your profitability.